Good evening, good evening. Hopefully everybody is doing well. Hopefully I have sound correct. Let me just double check one. Yeah, it looks like everything should be good to go. I'll make sure everybody can hear. Hang on just a minute here. I've got several screens opened as always. I see Bob in there. Hey, Bob. Hopefully you are doing well. Hey, Duncan, how you doing this evening, Duncan? All the way from Australia. Yeah, I haven't messed much with stamps. I bought some, but in all honesty, I haven't even taken them out of the box or anything out of the book at all. I know there's some good stuff in there. I do mess with stamps a lot, but lately I just keep them. I don't do much with them. I've got a huge stockpile we've been getting when they're cheap. A lot of money in that stuff for sure. Hey Cindy, how are you doing this evening? Feed the cats. Yeah, we used to have a couple of cats for quite some time. No cats now, just dogs, but I think if something happens to a dog, we will have a cat and replacement-wise. Wife's been wanting a cat. Hey Daryl, how are you doing this evening, Daryl? Hopefully you're doing well. Regina, how are you doing, Regina? Sharabera, how are you doing? Patty Stevens. Well, welcome aboard, Patty. Rose Smith. Well, glad to have you on, Rose. I've got, I think, over 1,000 videos. I cringe at some of the older ones because some of those pop up a lot lately, so I wish I could do some of those over. Where am I? There's Bob back. Seth, how are you doing, Seth? Brian, right down below. Hey, Annie, how's Annie doing? Hopefully you're doing well. Sunday Funday, Pamela Sabana, Arizona. I think the only place I was at in Arizona, or at least that we stopped, I think we stopped in Phoenix driving through. I think that's the only place I actually physically touched ground in Arizona. Brian, number one tip for getting inventory to resell that people overlook. If you want to get a lot of inventory and you don't want to pay a whole bunch, go to a local auction. I'm telling you, that's like one of the best places around here. If you know more, if you know a bunch of antiques and stuff, at least a good starter of fairly general information, you can do awesome at flea markets, vintage style antique flea markets, and regular flea markets in general. I far outweigh profits from those places than I ever do any of the thrift stores these days. I haven't been to one in a long time, but I'll take that back. I'm sorry. I have to apologize. I did go to a little small ma and pa thrift store the other day. I was meeting somebody, and we met in the parking lot, and we both go in, and they have some freebies sometimes and stuff, so I always look there if I'm out that way. But I don't think I spent more than $2 the whole time I was there. I don't honestly even remember what I got there. I'm pretty sure I spent $2 there, but it wasn't memorable if I only spent a couple bucks and I can't even remember what it was. I don't have much luck around here on those places. My primary source of actual finding material has been flea markets, estate sales, auctions when we first moved back up here to Ohio, or at least I moved back up to Ohio. Those have been the best places around here. We used to have Savers and stuff, and I used to go to Savers quite often. Nothing huge major scores, but a lot of steady flow coming in back in the day. And then they got really bad towards the end, and then they closed them. Both of the Savers went under. So I think there's like maybe 4 thrift stores that I'll even walk in the door these days. One of them's a little mom and pop. One's in another state just over the border. It's a small out-of-the-way one, and then there's one big one, and then one way on the other side of town. I think those are the only ones I really mess with if I go out. But, stick to the places where you can get mass quantity bulk. In estate sales, I've always walked out from good estate sales with like a couple big, nice-sized boxes of stuff. The auctions, I'm usually walking out of there with a bunch. I usually wait to the end. I usually don't even show up at the beginning, usually, unless it's something I know I want right then and there. And I wait to the end. I'll come in like 10 minutes after it starts usually. I'll park wherever. I don't really care. I don't care. I don't mind walking. A lot of people hate walking. I don't care cold weather or not. I don't mind walking. So I'll park and get up there and get in the place. By the time I'm registered, it might have been running for 20 minutes. The last hour, say hour and 10 minutes, is usually all I care about usually. I like the table cleanups, which are at the end of an auction. If they just want to get rid of the stuff was brought in and the people said sell it, they'll do a table cleanup, meaning that everything on a table might go for $5 or 10, 50, whatever. It doesn't matter. It just the point. You're getting everything on a table at table cleanup. I've gotten some horrendously good deals. I mean, I'm talking $100 items, $200 items or better from table cleanups before for like $5 to $25. It's going to look like junk, like what a lot of stuff I sell, which people just don't think has money. And that's usually why I'm able to do it. Even people who should know better don't pay attention. Or they blew all their money in the first, say, 15, 20 minutes with the high dollar stuff, because usually an auction will advertise it. If they advertise heavily, the front of the auction is going to be packed. They'll seed the front of the auction, which means they'll put all the real good stuff up at the front, because everybody will be there at the beginning wanting to get that stuff. It's usually the run of the auctions I've been to. So people blow out their money, they'll bid, they'll get in a bidding war, and people just don't stick to their guns. I see people pay way too much all the time. I've talked to people before the bidding starts when we're walking around and doing the preview, because I usually go to the preview if I'm going to go on my own. Usually show up 40 minutes early or whatever the preview day is. And they've given me, I'm not going to pay more than this or that or whatever the case may be. And they always end up doing it. I don't know why people keep not sticking to your guns, but anyway, that's my take on that. I always do very well on those types of places, but I can go to a big antique mall and buy from dealers and make hundreds and hundreds of dollars. The last antique mall I went to, and I went with somebody, it's been a while now, I took somebody, it was just a friend, and I wanted to show him I guess how easy it is if you know what you're doing. And I think I made like $325 from that trip. And we were only in there like an hour and 20 minutes. I've always done extremely well sourcing from other dealers, because everybody doesn't know everything. Everybody, when you go out there, only knows certain areas. And a dealer, at least in an antique mall, they want something that's going to pop and show out in a bag, a little crumpled up pieces of paper, some buttons, or that stuff just doesn't attract the attention. And that's where I've really centered in, and I've spent a lot of time learning, more than 20 plus years, learning all those little tiny things that no one messes with or thinks is valuable. And they make us a lot of money. People just don't think about it. I just put a video up yesterday on batteries. And it's stuff like that I've always messed with. It's vintage, just junk to most people. Rusted out tin cans I can sell for hundreds of dollars. A paper cup I can sell for 10, 20, $30. A pencil, just an old pencil, 50, 60, $100 even for some pencils if they're new NOS stock or something. Pens. I can buy a big, huge bag of pens, old pens and mechanical pencils that look all dirty and grimy and stuff, just thrown in there. None of them work. People will, I watch them test them out like that really matters. And you'll see maybe... If I'm at like an auction, we'll get to some questions and stuff. I'm sorry. If I go to an auction and, I'm at the preview, sometimes I just stand there and I'm thinking like, why you even what do you care if the pens work? People just think that they got to work and stuff. And I watch person after person after person, sometimes like 90% of the people that pick up and look at this big box or this big bin of pencils, test them out. That's 9 out of 10 people are testing them out, worrying about whether they work or not. They're missing the whole who cares if they work? I don't even worry about that kind of aspect at all. The only thing that matters on something like that is the advertisement on the side of it. And that's the point. If I go to a booth and there's just a bunch of junk thrown in a dollar box, they didn't look any of that stuff up. They have no clue. It's little tiny junk things that you'd find in a bin like at a thrift store is what they think. And many times I pulled a Pharaoh type out of one of those bins once for like $1. It was Lincoln. It was a Lincoln. This is a true story. It was a Lincoln Pharaoh type, which is like a round disc about this big, and it had a tin type in the middle. It had some issues. It wasn't perfect. Don't get me wrong. I only got like $125, $130, I think, because of the condition. But it's like a framed campaign disc. It's a Faro type. It's an early type of tin type, out of one of those bins for $1. It didn't look like anything to them. It had some rust on it. The image wasn't perfect. You could definitely tell if you looked at it that it was Lincoln, and it had his name on it. I mean, it was a given. It was an original Civil War era piece for $1 out of a bin. And it was from an antique dealer's booth. So, I've always been able to score, even the ones that seem knowledgeable in some areas, they still miss a lot of things. So they only know this, they only know that, and they don't pay attention to this or that. They're in their own little groove, and that's fine. They make their money off of that. But, I do well on people that just don't know certain areas. Let's pop back up here. I'm assuming everybody can hear me. I don't see anybody saying no sound. I'm sorry, let me go back up to where I was at. Evening, Seth, if I missed ya. I know I got to Annie. Michelle, how you doing, Michelle? For those in Patreon, I did not get a video up this morning. It is done. Hopefully I'll get it up either after the show or first thing in the morning. I spent, oh my gosh, I don't know how long trying to call to get an appointment for my eye. It's been a back and forth thing. They were supposed to fax a referral. It's just been a nightmare trying to get it, and no one seems to be in a hurry for something that's very, very aggravating. So anyway, enough on that. I don't want to really get into that, but hopefully that answers your question, Brian. Rich Sanders. Hey, Mr. Sanders, how are you doing? On Midwest Picker, I believe Dave. I'm trying to keep everybody's names straight. I try really hard. How you doing there? Charlie Goki, Kentucky. I've spent some time in Kentucky. We had some friends that we worked with for quite some time, very, very long time. I still talk to them, 20 plus years now, I think, from Bowling Green area. My father was in Fort Knox, and I worked in Louisville for, what was the name of the company? Geez, Gaddy's Pizza. They actually train people there in Louisville area. In fact, I was in Louisville for 5 weeks, and I got to source for 2 of those days, thank goodness. Robert, how are you doing this evening? Robert, yeah, thank you on the batteries. Yeah, the batteries videos, as I was saying, I've always looked up. I 20 years ago, I was talking to somebody, and we were talking about eBay in general, and they had no clue. This was back in the day. People thought it's a flash in the pan. No one cares about it. It's going to be a fad. eBay's nothing. Who's going to buy all that junk off there? And I tried to express to him that anything in the world you can think of, I'll probably find it on eBay. And, we did a bet, and he wrote down 10 things. I won the bet, I'll tell you right off the bat, but he wrote down 10 things, and I found every single one of those 10 things in just a matter of moments on eBay for sale. And, at the end of the day, I walked away with $10, $1 an item. So even to this day, I still think about that because, I sell stuff that 90% of the population would think is garbage, just junk. What the heck? Who's going to want a dead battery? And there's a lot of stuff like that. And I've got some rehash videos, but with better content and stuff like that. And I've got some, I've got like 430 video ideas for videos written down on a list that I'll eventually go through them all as I do. But anyway, I got another bolo for tomorrow, and then some concept videos after that. Patreon's video is another one of SEO and keywords. I do have the sheets already too. This one's the sheets. You'll have the photo pages like I've done before, so you'll want to look at those first, and then you'll have that up. I'm up real early in the morning tomorrow. I know today I was up early, but my mind is a little distracted because of some vision issues at the present. But anyway, hang on. I've got like 2 things open, and it's semi-confusing sometimes. Let's pop back over here. I got Craig in the house too, Landshark Picker, another fellow reselling channel just like Midwest Picker, and Annie, of course. We can't forget Annie in there. Craig's actually been on a video of mine. I think we've been on one of Scott's Bearded Pickers shows together once, maybe. My brain escapes me from 2.5 or 3 years ago sometimes. But Sherry Dennis, how are you doing? I have a bendy, love the old videos, and 4 8mm film reels. Not sure what is on the film from the 70s, from a local auction. If you unravel an 8mm film, you can pretty much zoom in enough to be able to see what it is. I hold them up before we had all the equipment and stuff, and I could still get a decent image of it. I'll either snap one with the phone or with a camera if you don't have a DSL or something like that, and then I blow it up on the computer, and usually I can get a good enough shot to be able to sell it, at least to see what's on it. One thing I warn anybody messing with 8mm film, you are going to run into adult movies. 100%. I can pretty much tell you every single person that I've ever known that's been heavy into 8mm, 16mm like us, I've probably got a couple thousand reels that we haven't gone through yet of 8mm or 16mm, and I'm not exaggerating. Many of them may be the 50-footers, but I run into adult material quite often. So before the kids were old enough, before the kids were adults, we were very cautious and always worried because a lot of the kids love to watch the videos too. I finally got I've got an 8mm sound projector actually. I finally got a new, I can't think what you call it, the little magnetic part, but I finally got that, so it now works. So we were able to play some footage we've got from like 1940 something, 46 something like that, taken in Europe right after the war. But it's got sound, which was something that you just don't find. But anyway, Kyle, how are you doing this evening? OJ, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. California. I just sold 2 postcards from that very same city just like 2 days ago. They were just listed. They sold. They were hand-tinted. I don't think they were real photos, but we got like $32 for the 2 postcards. California stuff, of course. Hey, Aaron, how are you doing this evening? Good to see you in the house. I haven't even checked my phone today. I've got a ton on all of my accounts that I haven't responded to. I just can't get to everybody right this very moment, but unintentional completely. Let me slide back down. Harry Loomis, new and used. How are you doing? I've sourced in Michigan a million times. Some of our favorite places are up in Michigan. Middle Belt I go to occasionally. I'm sure anybody up in that area knows exactly what that is. Yeah, hit the like button if you didn't hit it yet. I always forget about that. That's one thing I tend to forget. Rob, hey Rob, how are you doing? Have me and Dom ever done a How to Haggle show? No, we have not. I don't know. I've never thought about going into something like that. For me, it's just there's not much to it, I guess, for me personally, just because I've done it so many millions of times. I'll have to think about what to do with that. Well, thank you very kindly, Tanya, for the $10 super chat. Tanya Alling, very kind, very kind. I guess that's a pear, a little baby blue, or I guess a turquoise pear. That's kind of neat. Well, thank you as well. Very kind of you. Very kind indeed. I don't know how to get those off once they pop up because oh, there we go. Well, thanks again. Thank you very kindly. Best auction to bid online live for paper. Garden Daisy, I don't like to buy much online unless it's like for non-reselling or something. The only reason I say that because probably 9 out of 10, maybe it's like 95 to 98% out of 100 of every single auction you see of any sort of bulk has been gone through, and then they're just selling leftovers. I bulk stuff up. That's what I do. If I like, probably I've sold 100,000 maybe postcards at 1,000 a pop. So I blow stuff out. I sell bulk labels that aren't worth me messing with on their own. I blow out bulk buttons, bulk booklets, bulk comic books, bulk everything I blow out. And the majority of what I've seen, I got a video. I don't remember if it's on Patreon, my Patreon page, or on YouTube, but I've got a video looking at stuff to buy. We were literally going over and looking at it, and we picked some random ones in the video, or I did, and I looked at the seller that was selling them, like for postcards, and I know I did it for postcards for specifically, as well as a couple other items. Every one of the postcard lots that I looked at, every one, and it was just random. It was just some random day. It wasn't like a setup video or anything like that at all. It was just whatever happened in the video, and every one had the bunches being sold by people who had sold them already. So they went through them, they listed them for whatever length of time. They didn't sell, they relisted them, didn't sell. They bulked them up into a lot, and then they blew them out. And that's where they come. And you can go back, most of the time I can tell pretty easily. In the video, I think I showed the basic, easiest way to tell. I'll literally look at the photos if it's a bulk lot. Usually they show, say, 50 or 60 postcards. I'll look through that vendor, what that vendor has had up, and buy whatever I find in there. And if I don't find the first one, I'll look through 3 or 4 and see if they've listed those in the past. In every one of the lots that I look through, those vendors, those sellers already listed those items. So they're not fresh to market. I don't know, maybe they've even looked them up. I did look up some of those items as well through Terapeak to see what the record went for those for the last year. There wasn't enough to sell at any reasonable price. So I'm always cautious. In a couple people in who have other channels here, one of them specifically spent 300 some odd bucks on a postcard book. Now it looked okay, but I was suspicious when I saw the listing for it to begin with. But he was taken. They were all fake items or screwed up items or something like that. I mean, it didn't list any specifics, so you're taking it's pot luck. I mean, the person may or may not have been able to try to screw somebody, but I honestly like to touch what I buy. It's the best way, and I can source it locally well enough to not have to worry about going online. And I'm not saying you're not going to get something good online, and I'm not saying I never buy anything offline, but 99% of what I buy is probably bought in bulk from an auction, from a local avenue, local venue or something like that, or a picker. Those are literally it. If I'm out and, we're on vacation or we're out traveling, I may stop at a big antique mall. There's one on 75 heading south from where I'm at, Highway 75, that I do stop at. It's way out of town. It's I don't remember how long it would drive, maybe an hour and 20 minutes away at the quickest. I do stop at places, and those type of places I can still rake out, even if it's just some random one. If they're big enough places, there's always a vendor in their cellar that doesn't know his stuff. I've never been to a giant antique mall that I wasn't able to score out hundreds of dollars. And it's, again, same type of stuff that I sell, you see me sell every day of the week. Obviously, there's other stuff. I don't show every single thing I sell. I stick to the vintage and the stuff that's more helpful and stuff that's not going to hurt some of my business. I don't show everything. I can't give every secret. I get people all the time asking me, well, tell us where you get this at, where do you get that at? I get it from Dave. That's not going to help you. I get it from this person or that person or Joe or whoever I'm dealing with. I get them from people, and it's taken me 10 plus years of full-time reselling to get people to do that. It's not like I just turned around the corner. I'm not going to be able to give somebody my specific people that do it. All I can tell you is the same sources I'm talking about are the exact places that got me to exactly this spot. These are the same people that deal at auctions themselves, that do flea markets themselves, that travel around. They want to flip it. A lot of these people are old school. They don't list online. They don't mess with this. They don't mess with that. Believe it or not, there's still a good chunk of old timers that are like that. Or they've messed up their account and they don't want trouble and they hate eBay, or there's a million reasons why people don't sell stuff online. Craigslist was a good place when it first started, and I used to do okay on Craigslist. Luckily, that's where I've met a few of my pickers, was off of Craigslist. I found one that was selling vintage, and then I looked up their phone number. You can do a search on Craigslist by their phone number, and I found that he was selling a whole bunch of other stuff. So I contacted him and asked him questions. That was one of the first ones I got. It was just that simple. No one thought about, I guess, tracking down and searching his phone number and figuring out if this guy was a dealer. And sure enough, he was a local guy. He got contacts, and he knew a lot of people I didn't, and that's how I got contact. That's one of my first earliest ones. I've been dealing with that guy for 8 years, 9, 10 years maybe, somewhere in that range. I'd have to really sit down and try and figure out the date on how long. It's got to be close to a decade dealing with the guy. Just like I've got buyers that I've been dealing with for probably just that long. In fact, one came back, a gentleman from San Francisco who owns a big art studio. I've seen pictures. He's a very nice guy and all, and he buys stuff at a fairly decent price. I give him a break, and he spends decent money and stuff like that. I never force anybody to immediately pay either. That's a big plus for people selling vintage and collectibles. I promise you, for anybody who doesn't do that in the vintage, the areas that I sell in, I think you're losing a little bit, in my opinion, because if they're able to easily and conveniently combine them and not have to worry about, I better rush, this guy's going to do it, make me pay. They take their time and they'll buy more items. That's what I found. And it's true. I don't care what anybody else says. My revenue, my multi-purchase sales to the same person are way up. They're up more than probably anybody else I know, I would have to say. But they're like-to-like items and stuff like that. One guy will buy postcards from one city. My oldest was listing some buttons, and he listed some from Yonkers, fire department, police department. And one guy, they were up for an hour, maybe an hour, and one guy bought every single Yonkers button I had in-house, every single one of them. And he asked, you got any more? And I've got some lined up here after the show. My son's going to list some more. My kids didn't like to list as much, so we were giving them, obviously, the same salary plus 5% of the sale prior to fees. So, I just considered a selling fee, and he's been doing extremely well for us and for that. So, it's a good plus. I mean, family or not, it's a good plus. Hey, Carl, how are you doing this evening, Carl? Sunny Florida. I do miss Florida occasionally. Florida was good. I used to do a place called Mount Dora. There used to be a huge flea market called Renninger's. It was like once a month, and then they had another one that was like this grand gala that covered a huge area, like acres and acres. It was a huge one out there, but I had fun in Florida. I still talk to Disney friends from our Disney days in Florida. My son was born at Arnold Palmer Hospital, if anybody knows that. My oldest. Had a lot of fun in Florida. I mean, a lot of fun. That's where I met my wife. I got married on Disney property. Florida's a wonderful place. These days, though, the heat just aggravated me too much too. But yeah, I do miss in-person anything. But the rate it's going, by midsummer, hopefully, some things will be back in place. If they're going by age bracket, we saw where we're at on that list. So anyway, let me slide back down here. Henry S., how are you doing? He waits until the bins clear. People miss postcards, antique light parts, ticket stubs, photos, you name it. Yeah, I would imagine so. I wouldn't mind checking out the bins, but for me, it's a 3-hour plus drive one way down to Columbus. There's one in Michigan, which is about 3 hours in the other direction. And it's just not practical to do a 6-hour trip. These days, I don't like driving, 6 hours a day anymore. Especially vision-wise, I really wouldn't want to do that. I try never to drive at night for the last couple weeks just because the vision issues. But anyway, I just wouldn't want to do that drive. If there was one, say, 40 minutes away, I'd probably go. Because there's some thrift stores. There's like, as I said, 4 or 5 that I like. One of them is about 45 minutes or better away, and I always do very good. I found some really nice German tin toys there last time. It's been a while. It's been over a year, but there are still some little honeypot holes here and there that you can find some good stuff around here out in the wild, but they're few and far between. Let me pop down. Carl's got some by his house. Live auctions. Amazon Seller 99. How are you doing this evening? Business business wise has been extremely good. I am honestly surprised across the board. Um, you can, if you're on doing multiple different things, let's give you some examples here because people always ask me for examples. Obviously, I'm here on YouTube, so I watch trends. Even on YouTube, the trends are different. So if something like views are way down, like on YouTube, usually my watchers or the views are down on eBay. It seems like too. So I've been just kind of just comparing, just viewership in general. Like if some major thing is going on, a sport event, all that kind of stuff, a Super Bowl, inauguration, whatever the case may be, the viewership on off news platforms is less. Again, I've talked about that. We do projections, and I look at year over last, so I expect it. It's something you can expect, and I've tracked YouTube year over last as well, so I see similar things, and I do Google Trends searches quite often on very specific keywords. And I've done these same ones for a very long time, and I kind of track their trajectory, trying to figure out they're things that I sell. Just to be honest, if you constantly track stuff, you'll see stuff. Like on YouTube, everybody says there's no pattern, but man, I've been writing and tracking a lot of stuff on YouTube, and there does seem to be some sort of pattern on viewership and stuff like that, which I've been messing with a little bit lately. So anyway, pattern wise on reselling, you'll see patterns if you track sales. You'll see patterns on, revenue and the whole works, But for me, the sales wise are right up where they've been. I haven't dropped off from December yet. I mean, it's just like I'm still in December. And as I said, that's probably what I figured would happen. You can go back and watch probably some of my other videos in the last month or two. That's how my first 2 months are, or December, January, February, 3 months in a row are usually like that. And even after that, I can have, 6 months out of the year that are pretty much all Christmas months, they seem to be. People forget that just because it's not technically Christmas, people buy for Christmas. They buy gifts all year round and stuff, and collectors collect all year round. That's part of the reason why, clothes for me, clothing, I didn't like clothing. And even just for the money aspect of it, I'd rather do what I'm doing now because I enjoy this and I don't have any of the headaches I was having with clothing. Never do I have to worry about measurements like that, or did I miss a hole going to the store and stuff like that. Let's veer to options to actually grow your online business before I get sidetracked on anything else. There are many options that you can use to grow your business. If you're just starting off, let's talk about one that I think is honestly one that many people are nervous on, which is the eBay International Standard Delivery option. And it is not the global shipping option. Many people had that question. Is this the same thing as eBay's global shipping option? And I may throw a video out on this and just go and do a complete breakdown of versus video, because again, that video I did the other day talking about the standard delivery, I got a ton of people with questions on the global shipping and this and that. And a lot of people told me they don't want to do the eBay standard delivery option. It's better by far than the global shipping option because you will sell far more items because the cost is like half or better in some cases of what it is through the global shipping program. And I can almost confirm that because I've sold to somebody through the global shipping program and through the standard delivery. And he's given me the cost that he paid on it. You got to talk to people. Again, I don't mind asking people, and it's somebody I've dealt with for a very long time. Somebody from England. I've talked to them for 4 years or better. So, a customer. It's a customer. Again, if you don't talk to your people and don't know them, once you get them in the door, you want to keep them coming back and conversing and offering help and doing bending over backwards to help them is what you need to do. Just like if you're in a brick and mortar, once they're in the door, you gotta give them everything you can to get them to stay and buy, and the whole works. That's salesmanship, and a lot of people miss that. And they don't know anything about the people they buy. Or you're selling items that they'll never come back because it's only one oddball shirt or something like that. That's why I say if you're going to be in this for the long run, pick some items or categories that are going to sell forever. There have been collectors for them, like stamps. We're talking about Duncan earlier. Postage stamps have been collected since the 1850s, 60s era. People have, started saving stuff like that. So, I mean, it's something that's never going to go away. Coins, cards, paper, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I know I'm rambling a little bit here. With the eBay standard, international standard shipping option, the drawback which most people can't get past is the fact that it's billed to your account. You have to pay at the end of the month when your bill is due. And with the global shipping, it's billed immediately. Now, that's because the global shipping part of that still has to go through the post office, so you got to get the money, and you're buying a label that will transport it to eBay, so you have to go immediately. From what I see, the eBay Standard International goes straight through eBay, so eBay doesn't care if they get the money right away. Sometimes you could have hundreds of dollars or like $1,000 extras on your monthly bill. Now you're still paying it. It's the same thing as global shipping. You're still paying a certain percentage of that if you're going through global shipping either way. It just goes to eBay. But you're not going to sell as much if you use global shipping, again, because you're paying, or the buyer would have to pay, it may be $30 or better for a buyer to buy a single postcard from me through the global shipping. But through the eBay international standard delivery option, it may only be $17.50, $18, $19. So it's a heck of a lot cheaper. Anything under that 20 mark is in the ballpark range, because an average 3-ounce first-class international package to England or anywhere in Europe, on average, is about $14. Again, it varies. Canada is a little different too. But with the standard international, it's way cheaper, and they guarantee it. I know global shipping's guaranteed and all that stuff too, but you have to spend the money either way you go, and you're going to get more sales out of it. Just set the money aside. It's not technically yours until the sale is completed anyway. Set the money aside so you can pay your bill. That's just keep part of it in a bank account. Don't take it out. Don't mess with it. Whatever you got to do it, you're going to save. You're going to sell more doing that. That is one of the biggest ways, in my opinion, that you can grow your business. If you offer that to every country that eBay has that option to, it opens up you to many, many, many more markets. And with that option, you have a direct, you show up on the UK site and the Canadian site as a vendor, basically, without doing anything with that option. Just FYI. It's listed on the page for that, and I'll probably throw that in the video too. That is a big way to grow it. We're actually removing any country that had the global shipping, and we're dumping them all to the eBay Standard International or International Standard, however it's worded. I don't have it right here in front of me, but everybody knows what I'm talking about. And even when we just originally opened up global shipping, or that we would ship directly to, say, England, Germany, and all that, it's increased our sales by thousands of dollars the very first year. I think you have to sell, I think it's $3,000 per world region. So $3,000 in like a small European region, $3,000 a year in England, and $3,000 here, $3,000 in the Pacific, to get a top-rated plus status globally. And we have that. I wouldn't have all those thousands and thousands of dollars of sales if I didn't do, some direct shipment, because the cost is not, beneficial to the buyer using the global. The biggest reason is to use global is anything over 4 pounds, because eBay's responsible once it gets to Kentucky. Just like Standard International. It's covered, I think, for $100. Once it gets to Kentucky, I'm free and clear. I've never, ever, ever had one that got to Kentucky, or that didn't get to Kentucky. I've only had one that was damaged in eBay's possession, and all I did was report it to eBay. They covered the losses. The person couldn't leave bad feedback at all. They refunded him fully his money, and I got mine. I can't go wrong, and that either way. But that's for over 4 pounds. eBay Standard International is perfectly fine. Don't ship high-dollar items. Keep it under $100, and you're perfectly safe. I promise that it will increase your sales by that. I think that's a big plus. And the other one they got going on is with the cards. There's a whole page on it. It's up to a 1/4 inch thick, so keep that in mind. Everything has to be a 1/4 inch or under. So I actually I don't have it here. I have a slot card. I've got a card with a 1/4-inch slot. So I can just immediately check it at some point. So that means you can ship multiple cards in an envelope, a white envelope, through eBay. Sports cards only right now. I don't know what they're going to advance from here. But by the dimensions and the weight, it should cover postcards in an envelope. So that will be coming, would be my guess. I don't see what it would matter whether it's postcards or not. The 1/4-inch is a limit because the scanners, from what I understand, on those, they stand up or something. Somebody sent me a picture of what they use to scan those, who works at the post office. Thank you, just FYI. So they have to be able to go through the machine. So the 1/4-inch is a 100% thing that you have. If it doesn't go through there, it's not. It has to go through the expensive way, from what I understand. For the $3-4 or whatever first class would cost. So, FYI, that's going to be another big plus in my book. YouTube auctions. People have talked about that. Hang on just a second. I think I missed somebody. Let me pop back down in just a second here. Let's see here. David G. Online auctions, be mindful of higher than normal buyers, premium, and shipping costs. Yeah, I mean, you've got all the other stuff to worry about, of course. Orbit Roshi, how are you doing? And then Carl was, YouTube auctions are fun, found quite a few good deals. Yeah, I was debating on something like that. I heard that a lot of people just don't pay, is what somebody else told me, because there's another Ohioan, Steve Alcorn, that he's got a channel, and he does some videos on that as well. And I have to reach out to him because he's another Ohioan. I was told in my state that you have to have a license, but they didn't go into the detail, and I've gotten an argument with them, and I actually called the state, and apparently the person locally has given me bad information. If I own all of it and I'm not auctioning for somebody else, I can auction on YouTube too. I may do that. I may do a few auctions. People are asking constantly on records and stuff, and I've got records coming out my ear. I could fill your house with records, to be honest with you. Good records, not junkers, but anyway. Find channels that buy tons of blank and just trying to move it. Yep. I've been on a few channels and seen some as well myself. Henry S. buys photo lots on eBay and does really well. I don't know what your really well is, so I'm not going to criticizing it. It might be great. I just don't find any massive luck with that, and I don't like to buy a big lot, shipping and everything else, just to make $10-15 on a piece. If I'm going to buy something, I want the opportunity to have $100 items, $200, $300 items in the lot. That's just my take. I'm trying to, get as high of a average sale price. Obviously, that's your goal. Sell fewer items for a higher amount. Make more revenue than what you used to, but sell less items and do less work. So, and that's another reason why bulk lots and stuff. Yes, you can buy bulk lots of stuff from eBay or other platforms, but the amount of revenue you're going to make, in my opinion, and the time you have into it, you'll make some money, don't get me wrong, but usually it's nowhere near what I would make by doing a straight purchase from locally that I can actually examine and have my choice. So I don't have to, if it's no good, I just won't buy it. I really like to look through enough of a lot to know without a doubt I'm going to have a decent percentage of profit. These days, I'm not going to even buy any kind of lot or any type of purchase. I'm not going to be making hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I honestly, if I'm buying a bulk lot, I want to make 1,000 plus every one I buy, no matter what, with limited amount of time invested into it. Quick items to list. If you're doing clothing, again, everybody runs into this. This is exactly my issue with clothing, was the time. I can list 40 plus, 45 items an hour if they're paper items and stuff. Clothing, 10, 15 if you're lucky, 20 if you're really, really lucky. In the same time frame, I can list 45 or so items, 40, 45 items. I can scan those same items in that same exact time frame. It's not like I've got to take one day just to photo clothing and then, another day just to list it. I steer my business towards stuff I can get bulk, stuff that's easy to get, cheap, quick to list, quick to ship. Anything I can cut down, even a matter of a mere few seconds per listing, when you're listing thousands of listings, is a huge amount of time. It may not sound like much when you think about, I'm going to save 2 seconds here. How much is that really going to save you? But, we might list 20,000 listings in a year or so, maybe more than that. I don't know. I've never even looked at it from a yearly basis. How many new listings, I should say. I would just have to do the math, but that's just the point. So you're saving over a huge amount of time, and you're going to do this for years, over a 5-year time span. Think of how many extra you're getting over 5 years, 2 cents per listing. If let's say you're listing 10,000 listings a year, that's a lot of work you can get done in that extra little bit of time. A lot of people, talking about like a company switches from like sugar to high fructose or something, they may only save a half a cent per can or per whatever product it is, but you got to multiply that times 100 million maybe a year of whatever they may be selling. That's where you make the money. You don't worry about that it's only a few pennies or something. It all adds up. Just like me having multiple anchor stores. I did that because we saved a couple $1,000s every year because of the extra fees I would have had to pay. Getting the anchor stores lowered down the initial 10,000 listings down to only a nickel a piece. So, it figured out into my basis. So, it wasn't even a nickel. I'm sorry. It's like 2.5 cents back in the day. Let me pop back down to some more questions. Glad that was helpful, Brian. Hey, Kathy, how you doing? Another Australian. I was going to do the throw another shrimp on the bobby, but I thought that might not be appropriate. Or the Seinfeld, maybe a dango ate your baby. That was the other line I always thought was there. But Brandon, how are you doing, Brandon? Aloha to you as well. Again, for those in Patreon, I will have the video up tomorrow. I just had the other stuff, and with everything going on, my day has been a little bit frazzled. If my eye doesn't get better, it's going to be a very depressing thought to think that this vision is not going to change. Again, thank you, Harry, as well. Watched the batteries yesterday and went on the hunt through all my old vintage stuff, opening up everything, looking for graphics and batteries. Yeah, we've sold batteries for hundreds. So once you've sold a battery, then you're going to be looking at things from a different angle. The old flashlights on shelves and garages and stuff like that, it doesn't have to be a super old battery. You might spend $1 on an old junky flashlight. Because I had people tell me, well, a lot of flashlights don't sell for a lot of money. I'm not going to sell them for a lot of money. But a lot of times those $10, $15 flashlights may have $40 batteries in them. 2 of them that are each $40. So you've got to think about that. Who cares if the flashlight is worth it or not? Sometimes I buy the flashlight just to put in a lot as a flashlight parts. If they're like stainless steel or aluminum, like spun aluminum, or, that could be construed as like mid-century mod or something like that, I can sell them in a lot. There's parts and pieces. People use them for like steampunk projects. So you don't have to sell them as a flashlight. If it's brass, it's steampunk all the way, and I can easily sell missing parts. People will rig stuff up and make stuff out of them. As someone who does, cosplay and stuff like that, I assure you there's other markets than just it being a vintage flashlight. You just have to know how to market it. I've sold stuff for other reasons than people would ever expect, just because I know certain things about stuff. Like that Victorian paper, as I've talked about, will sell to crafters to make Christmas stuff out of. We sell, probably maybe $10,000. I'm trying to give you an honest estimate within a 6-week time frame of like Victorian stuff, just for people that make Christmas stuff out of them. Maybe it's more than that. I could pretty much guarantee it's at least $10,000 in that 6-week time span starting after Halloween. Yeah, I see Annie talking about the same thing online. Online, there is so many disadvantages in my mind. Let me slide back down. Yes, Dave, very good. Yeah, thanks. I'm terrible on that sometimes, the name thing. I do have to apologize. Let me get my screen back to where it was supposed to be. If you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. It looks, I've got 171 people in-house and only 66 likes. Oh. Boy, I've got, sales-wise, my phone's going off. My phone is dug up over here under a bunch of paper, I see. Anyway, guess I wouldn't have seen it if it wasn't vibrating. Carolina finds treasures. Good evening, good evening. David G. still kicking around. Sean Weber, any idea what antique glass negatives of Thomas Edison in Milan, Ohio is worth, as I live in Milan, Ohio? If they're originals, they'd probably be worth a lot of money. There might be some reproductions. There might be some that... are they negatives? Are they the reverse of the real image? You might have run into like projection slides or something like that, possibly too. They could be like a postcard negative too. It depends on the size of them. But you should be able to find some actually on eBay for sale. Look through Terapeak or Worth, if you know somebody with WorthPoint. If you can't find it on Terapeak. You have to know the size. I'd probably want to see them to know on something like that. But Edison stuff shows up around here. I'm in Ohio too, so we have found Edison stuff, and I've got probably 200 or 300 state-sponsored glass plate slides here right now from all over. I probably have some from the same town too. Thrifty Dad, how are you doing? I've watched you for a long time. I've learned a ton of stuff. Well, thank you very kindly as well. Carolina Picks. Daryl, you're falling in love with 8mm films. Found some great home movies from the 40s and 50s. I honestly love the 8mm. We watch every single footage piece that we sell. Every single one. Even if it's a commercial, I'll take that. But I don't watch the small, like the cartoon ones. I just unroll enough to see if it's the right item. But anything that's like a newsreel... It's 16mm or 8mm. I watch every one of them, every single foot. I love looking at the old ones. Sometimes I found some just incredible content like military jets or something from the 50s. And some stuff can go for some phenomenal money. Some of our best ones have been 8mm like color films and 16mm home films of like downtown with all lit up in neon from like New York and Chicago. White City, I had some from White City from real like the 30s that went for some phenomenal money. We even had a 35mm unknown Max Sennett. We had somebody else had to ship that out. That was nitrate. Somebody had a service come out. They packed it up professionally and shipped it via ground. Once it left my hands, I signed something, and they signed legal documents stating they take full responsibility as well for anything from the point of it leaving. But I love film. I worked at a movie theater. I loved the whole aspect. When I was like... In fact, I have a video talking about stuff like that. The film, the video, the one probably that Daryl's thinking about too. I found like clippings of 35mm film from, what was it, Empire Strikes Back. It was playing in the theater, and I went up to the restroom at a small, it was a dollar theater. I was seeing it for like the 5th time, I think. And I found a strip of Luke when he fell down through the Bespin, and he was walking with his saber out. He had his Bespin outfit on, and it was a section of the film, and I was just, blown away. And I ended up talking to the projectionist. I knocked on the door of the projection room, and he, believe it or not, opened it up, and he gave me a whole bunch more stuff. And ever since then, I've always been fascinated with it. And that same guy who gave me that, like, 6 years later, hired me because I'd always ask him about that, and he hooked me up. And one of my first art gigs, professional, I wasn't even old enough to work at that point. I was painting Disney watercolors, and he was buying them, and he used to advertise in a newspaper called Big Reel. And it was for selling like movie posters and film-related collectibles. He worked in the movie theater, and he was the head guy who handled the booking of movies. And I got to eat lunch, dinner with David Lee Roth once because of him. He was booking him for I think it was the Toledo Sports Arena here in town, and I got to go with him on that. Got to see a lot of stuff like that, but that was pretty neat. Anyway, I know I'm off topic here. I do love the films in general. I love the whole aspect. I'd love to make my own like sci-fi film someday. Tanya, how are you doing? My husband and I have learned a ton from watching your videos. Well, thank you very kindly as well. All you have is $20, Dave. You know, I used to try to do that, but what happens is if you're at a sale, this is why I personally wouldn't do that. No disrespect to Dave at all. And I'll give you an honest and a true example. I did that. I used to do that a lot. And I did that with somebody. And I was at a flea market. And I was down like a whole different section of the flea market and stuff. And that guy was at a booth. The guy I said I only had $20, on me. That was all I had. And I wanted something on that table. And if I didn't buy it, I was going to lose a lot of money. And I ended up pulling out more money. And, let's just say it didn't go very well for that day. And for any future purchases from that, I didn't know what else to do. I didn't want to leave it. It was hundreds of dollars sitting on a table. And they were friends. There's a lot of vendors at flea markets that know each other. I knew a lot when I used to set up at flea markets. That's one of the reasons I would always be a little hesitant to do that. Now, if you're at a garage sale or something, you can probably get away with that all day long without thinking anything of it. Maybe another reseller might realize what you're doing, but, I could care less what somebody else thinks about that. I usually just go with that's what it's worth. By the time I got time into photoing, and I just go in and tell them the truth. That's just, again, no disrespect to Dave at all. I stopped doing that just because I got ratted out from another dealer, basically. I don't know what else to do. Should I have just passed it and risked it or not? It was a lot of money sitting on the table, and I did end up getting the item, but it really blew some bad steam with some people at the flea market. I was considered a dishonest vendor or seller or buyer because of that. Again, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying you better be darn careful because it could hurt your reputation a little bit, depending on where you're doing it. Again, this is personal experience. It's happened in real life. It's probably happened a couple times to me, I would probably say. Maybe like at an antique booth or something, or a vendor at an antique booth maybe. I'm always just cautious about that. I don't ever want to burn a bridge because, I've got pickers and stuff, and I've got to be very cautious on people know each other. It's a small world for resellers in my area. So everybody knows, whether they know my name or not, they know who I am. They know what I usually buy. I know what most other ones are looking or why they're sitting in line 2 hours early or whatever that. You usually know people, and you can usually, gather information that way. Seth, I want to buy some bulk inventory from you, please. I don't sell. I sell bulk inventory, but it's usually stuff that I don't advertise my items for anybody out there to sell on YouTube. Not because I don't want you to buy my items, but because that's not what I'm trying to do on YouTube. My lots are usually, if I'm selling something, it's usually not going to be worth your time to buy it to make a bunch of money. In all honesty, I'm just going to be honest with you. I could sell it to you and tell you're going to make some money, but that's usually if I'm bulking something up, it's not worth me messing with individually. So it probably wouldn't be worth you messing with individually. Just to be honest, that's my goal for videos isn't to make you buy all my stuff. I don't care what anybody else does. This is just me. I've got other goals and stuff going on. We got some book deals. My business is different than everybody else's. I don't want to be feeling like someone expects to make a profit off of something. And I don't want anybody to be disappointed. So I just want to throw that out there. Brickhouse Salvage and Antiques, Steve Forgax. How are you doing this evening? Thank you, Dave G. Cindy Roach, we all need to be willing to put in the time to find in sources. It's not easy, but part of the learning process. It's most definitely part of the learning process. Without the pandemic, there'd be so many good opportunities. My opinion, once it's all lifted up, it'll probably be towards the end of this year. It'll probably be some of the best time, even though it's heading into winter and traditionally wouldn't be, to do that, because there's going to be a lot more people more apt to put stuff out to get some extra money coming in towards the end of summer. That's my opinion here, that it's going to be a world when everybody's going to be out, everybody's going to be doing and selling stuff and doing stuff. That's my opinion. There's going to be a glut of merchandise out there estate sales will be full-fledged in Steam. Around here, there's hardly any. They're just not. It's just not something even proud. There's no signs. There's nothing. I mean, it's like 14 degrees outside, I think, right now, or 15 or something. So, there's just nothing going on outside around here. But, anyway. Yeah, I probably will think about that. Maybe run that by Dom. That's a good suggestion on the haggling. For me, maybe we can do some scenarios. For me, though, I know I hold my ground. If they don't budge, I just leave. I don't care. I've done it so long. It's just, I guess, I just like driving a car, I guess. But I maybe I'll break down some thoughts on it. It's hard sometimes to step back when you see it one way, because I don't interact with people who don't. I don't know. I don't want to. I'm not trying to sound offensive at all. I don't want anybody thinking I'm trying to be. I always get calls of being conceited, but it's hard to step back and think of it from another angle sometimes. I guess I can't think outside the box in that way sometimes, just because I only know it one way. I guess I don't know. I guess that's kind of odd. In the Picker's Bible, good read, don't reveal your sources. Yeah, I don't know what a Picker's Bible is, but I'm sure it's some sort of book. But I don't, there's certain things I'll never give away. If I'm never going to resell again, I would probably throw it out and like you buy it or something, buy the things. There's some secrets that make us a lot of money that would... I'm not going to go there at all. I don't even want to give you even a hint on some things, but let's just say there's a lot of opportunities out there and so many different things that people just don't even have a clue on. The batteries is such a minuscule one of those. I mean, and it makes us a lot of money. It can make you a lot of money, but there's so many more out there that are usually sitting in front of someone's face that you just don't think about. And those are the ones that I like the best, because I can go to like a big antique mall. I lived on antique malls. We lived on antique malls. That was all of our extra income for many, many years. When I first got married, before we had kids, we'd go to Mississippi and we'd do the coast, and we'd go from Florida to Mississippi. I'd travel, what did we take? I-4, I-95, and then I-10 route, and we'd go through Jacksonville. We hit all the places. We sourced all the way there. We sourced all the way back, just me and the wife, and we sourced at antique malls. And I made a ton of money. It was just ungodly amount. And it was more antique malls back then than thrift stores, because it never came to thought, because I found so much good stuff at an antique mall that why would I go to a thrift store? That was my take back then, but, Francis, how are you doing this evening? I'm going through a family member's hoard selling on eBay. I have learned so much from you. Well, thank you very kindly. I showed a video like 10 months ago on some merchandise. I have 80 boxes. 80, what are they, 12-inch or 14-inch cube boxes that we loaded up from an estate. This is one of two that I've got here. I haven't even touched them. I think I did a box opening video of some of the oddball stuff in there. It's all good stuff too, but that's how much quantity I have. That's why I know people want me to sell in mass quantities, but I'm in no hurry. I don't know where we're going in life with stuff. I don't know what's going to happen. I've got a medical issue. My son's got one. I may open up a big, huge facility once we find a place and hire, a half a dozen people. I don't know. Who knows? I may hire, listers for, all week, 5, 6, 7, 8 full-timers more. I don't know. I don't know where we're going with this, and I'm not cutting out any options, and I wouldn't recommend anybody else doing that either, because you never know. I never thought we would be here, selling the volume of merchandise I am at all. I never thought I'd be in all these platforms. I never thought I'd be talking on YouTube. So you never know where you're going to be at. It's just not, you just never know. So I never like to make rash jumps, I guess, and stuff. Clothing, though, was like a game changer, and I fully and 100% would do that again every single chance I had. Giving up clothing was the best thing I could say I've ever done in the modern day of my reselling, because it opened up the gates for Smaller stuff, easier stuff, no returns, no worries. I don't ever come home and not know what I'm getting. I never find a hole in something that I didn't see, which I did with clothing. I messed up on clothing, not all the time, but it only takes one where you're pretty much steamed for the whole weekend. But my source is Kansas, where everything's cheap, and KCI International Airport right next door to me out of Kansas. Well, good. That's a good thing. Hey, Dom's in the house there. Somebody gave us a suggestion about a haggle video. Dom's probably going to be on my channel next month. I will probably have 3 interviews next month, which I don't do many of, but I'm going to reach back out to... I haven't had a chance to even text back to Primetime... I'm brain dead. I'm Pure Hustle podcast, and I'm gonna have Paperboy Dave and Mr. Magazine, and then Dom, I think, next month. I gotta set some dates up. I don't have my schedule yet. I've got to have a scan done, and until I get that done, I don't know what my schedule is gonna be. So now I have built from the ground up a online auction software to break away from all the other platforms we all sell on. Physical side of the store will be soon for fixed prices. Sunday Fun Day, Pamela. So you don't require immediate payment on all your items, or just the... I don't require any of the items in the store I share. And I don't know. I guess everybody does, because I run into people buying stuff and saying, well, I just assumed I'd have to pay for it immediately and stuff. The minute somebody, asks, can I get these? Can you combine it? Because again, nobody knows that I can't see their shopping cart. Constantly people ask me, can you combine them? I got all these items in my shopping cart. I can't see your shopping cart. No one gets that. So it comes into the next question when I tell them, well, just go ahead and make the offer, purchase them, and once you do that, the next thing, well, no, I'll be forced to pay for them. Everybody tells me they'll be forced to pay for them. I make sure that no one is required to pay for them immediately. I have a 7-day payment window, 7 full days. That's, Sunday to Sunday or Monday to Monday, whatever the case may be. I have never had an issue doing it that way. In fact, I get more sales. Let's say they buy something now and they think, well, I see something else. They're going to buy it the next day before they pay. I always sell every single day. I don't think a day has gone by. I couldn't tell you a day that has gone by where I didn't sell at least a couple people multiple items in that day. 3 people buy 3 or 4, 5, 6 items in the same day. It happens all the time, every day, day in and day out. And if I had to sit there and refund and all that stuff, it's just a nuisance. I'm no hurry to get the money. I don't need any sale. I don't wait on the money. My payouts only come once a week. If they could do once a month, I might even have done that option. I don't know. I'm not worried about it. I don't have to have the money in. It doesn't. None of the sales I'm doing this month are going to affect me paying a bill or doing anything. So for me, it's just, who cares when it comes in? I have people that wait 30 days. I almost gave you a name. I have one lady who buys from me quite often. She's from Massachusetts. She mostly buys religious cards. I have 3 people like her, but she buys them and usually pays at the end of the month. She'll take her time. She'll look at every item I've listed since the last time, and I don't know, I think she actually keeps track of them somewhere. So she may take 2 or 3 evenings to look through stuff, and she'll pick out the one she wants the first evening, the second evening, and the third evening. And these evenings could be spread apart. One evening, 1 week, one evening the next week, and one evening the next week. She's got 7 grandkids. I want to say she told me she was 73 once before, but, I don't care. I'll help anybody as long as it's legit. People ask me sometimes, can I pay on such and such a date? I don't care. I always tell them I have a 7-day payment window to begin with. Usually that's enough. If it's not, somebody sometimes asks, can I pay on the first of the month? The worst case scenario, I may lose some watchers if I ended the listing when he bought it. But my listings don't end anymore. My listings go to 0 quantity, so I never lose the watchers. I thought about, changing it back, but then the watcher issue is a big plus. If without this setting, the minute the item sells, my watchers are gone. So if the person doesn't pay for it, then I relist it and I have to wait for some more watchers to come in. I don't worry about that, but if I do 0 quantity in the site preference setting, it's right at the top. It's really easy to find. And then it's always there. So if like say I get a return, I just put a quantity 1. The listing's still there. Boom. I think they sit there for 90 days with 0 quantity. I think that's what it is. So no big deal, though. You know, it works fine. I never have an issue, and if somebody doesn't pay, I block them. I go ahead and relist it. Well, I don't even relist it. I just change the quantity. So if I already had watchers there, I just change the quantity. Those watchers are still able to see that. It will tell them that I think it says the seller has added a quantity or something like that. This is now available. It sends them a notice if they're watching it. You know, and I still can send out offers to watchers through that. So that feature has come in handy, and I didn't originally think about that until later on. So again, this is something about changing your business structure as you go along and move along, and that's been a big plus. It works. You know, a lot of the stuff I talk about, we change. I'll test something out and see if it works. The sending out offers to watchers all day long, I'm telling you, the amount of offers to watchers, somebody said it's because I've got items relisting and stuff. Not the case. I've counted. You can just do a spreadsheet of how many offers to watchers you have for a couple weeks ahead of time. Don't send them out constantly. Send them out in the morning, maybe at night, or 3 times a day. And then change it to constantly, a couple times an hour if they're there while you're working. My quantity of offers to watchers I can send out is almost doubled. I can't think of any other reason that this would be the case going out of the holiday season. It should go in the other direction, but it's not. My numbers are going up. So there's something to it. And I've tested it, and the same results. Do it as you want. You may not get those results, but that's what happens with me. I was trying to build them up to get a bunch. That worked fairly well, but this seems to be much better of an approach to do it. Again, eBay gives us all this stuff to play around with and do. eBay gives us, in my opinion, eBay has more tools to market and play with your stuff than any other platform, in my opinion. They're adding so many more options. It's not as rigid as it used to be in options compared to, say, Amazon. With Amazon, I've got, I can promote it. I can do my own personal thing or a sale or something. You can issue coupons or something, but you only got so much you can do with it. eBay does offer you more things. The one thing that Amazon does, though, too, you can sell on, I sell on the Canadian Amazon site and the Mexico Amazon site as well. I think I got one more now, but I sell on several platforms just through Amazon as well, too. For those of you who don't know that, again, international shipping, I do Canadian Amazon, and I sell quite a few things off there, believe it or not, too. It's new people that don't necessarily go to Amazon US at all, so it's a whole different type of people for the vintage stuff anyway. I just got married in an island, barefoot in the sand. Yeah, that would be nice. I loved walking on Honeymoon Island. We used to go to Kikino Beach, walk out, and there'd be dolphins. You could pick up, live starfish, sea anemones, and stuff like. It was really neat. It was one of the nicest beaches I could remember. When the wind blew on Kikino Beach. Kikinos are tiny little mollusks, and they make soup. We used to get Kikino chowder on a couple places up there, but they grind up, and the sand is like pure white from these Kikinos in that area. Sand Dollar, so I can't think of the name of that specific beach that we used to go to. But when the sand blew across, it looked like snow. It was so white. It was really neat. I always enjoyed it down there. And it's on an island, so it was really neat. The wind was perfect, and the weather was so nice, and palm trees, Let me pop back down. Sergeant Rock, how are you doing, Sergeant Rock? It just bounced off on me, so I'm going to find Sergeant Rock now. Yeah, I know, I'm way behind as always. Oh, boy, I'm really behind, ain't I? I'll never get to everybody's questions the way I am. I can just tell you right now. Yeah, I guess I'm way, way, way off on chat. I see Dom, so I know I'm getting close, I think. Maybe I'm getting close. Okay, here I go. There we go. Western Australia. My wife hates you because you have given me so much inspiration that I am now growing what I look for and sell. Well, I guess it's not nice to be hated by your wife, but... let's see here. My great-great-great-grandfather was one of the first, this is Rob, paid Yonkers, New York firemen There were 6 during horse-pulled pumper days. My 89-year-old mom has his number 4 badge. Well, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool for sure. Yeah, people overpay. Carl was talking about when I think Primetime Dom had an auction. I will have to say probably if I go to an auction, almost every person who's new who I've never seen there before overpays. They always overpay. They have no idea what their limit is. They think they can make it, and I see it all the time. And then they never remember about there's a 10% buyer's premium on some of them. So you have to, if it's $100, you're going to pay $110. If you're not paying with cash or something, again, I take a lot of money sometimes. I always hate to do that, but usually I can save 3 to 4% depending on which auction house I go to. So things to always consider. Now, sometimes I'll take a blank bank cashier's check, which is usually as good as cash at a couple that I go to, with proper ID, of course. Let's see here. Big Rock Bay, how are you doing? Karen Miller, how are you doing this evening? I stopped doing Shopify just before Christmas. We have not got it back up yet. My sales have been going, let's just say my sales are still good. In December, we doubled our November sales on eBay, and the account I share with you. That's honest to God's truth. It doubled, and we haven't dropped down since. My wife actually had to help the last few days because we just had packages everywhere. She was helping putting stickers on. We almost missed the post office for the first time in a long time because we just had so many, and then I had a lot of stuff I had to wrap up. We sold a whole mess of 78 records, which I usually don't sell that many, where I've got to, tape up like a whole mess of boxes, more than I've taped up in I don't know how long. Anyway. Seth, I was a district manager for a long time, and yes, you can tell when something happens in the country by sales. I had stores in 7 different states. It was kind of amazing to watch. I've always done projections, and we did sales forecasts for the following year. And when something happened, it would blow off your forecasts. My projections would get altered. You'd have to. Those are the ones that were always painful, even with reselling, ones that are unexpected, because you can't take advantage of your numbers to do something ahead of time. Like when it's slow, a lot of companies will do like a pre-planned sale every year, or they'll change the menu and offer something special, like a summer menu to draw more people in or something like that if you're like in a restaurant or something. A lot of playing around with that. Yeah, and Seth has forecasting there. Forecasting and projections are two of the biggest. Forecasting are sales, what you expect to do usually a forecasting project for sales is like a 3% over year over last. Projection is based on actual sales trending. So forecasting is like a knowledge-based estimate of what you hope to do or plan to do. And that would be something like if you were turning in bank documents, you would do a forecast of sales. A projection takes your daily sales for like day 1 through like day 3. You add those up, you divide by the amount of days, which is 3, and then that's the number that you are projecting out for the rest of the month. So if there's 31 days in the month, you take your answer from dividing into those 3, dividing 3 into your total, and you multiply that times how many days in the month, and that's how you get a projection for the entire month. And it gives you a sales projection on the dollar for dollar amount you should do by the end of the month. If that goes down, you run a sale, you do something to pick that up as the month goes by. So if your average daily sale goes down, you want to keep that back up. And that's what we've been playing a lot with. Part of the reason I haven't got back into the mass cross-listing or anything else like that, because our sales are whompers right now. I mean, it's I don't want to give out any numbers, but let's just say the numbers are solid, the best I've ever seen in my life for anything I've ever done across all platforms, just FYI. Doing it wrong, how are you doing? We're going to end it, I think, in just a little bit. I know I always talk way too long. Carolina just switched from GSP to ISD and see a tremendous increase in sales. That's exactly what I said. If you're not dumping global, I will bet you at some point eBay will get rid of global shipping program and offering it through themselves, because they'll get a larger chunk of the percentage as well as more sales. I would definitely ship to eBay, or change to eBay standard or international standard delivery option over the other, in my opinion, for anything under 4 pounds, because it's first class international is how those I guess the shipping breaks down to. So that's just my take on it. You do what you want, but we've swapped out everything in one store. We're going to do it to the other store. No sense in it. Your sales should go up. Yeah, just as Carl's saying, it costs the buyer a ton of money. And I'm not saying we don't sell a ton of it, but I don't sell a lot to some countries just because they don't want to spend the money for the global shipping. I like Singapore. I sold a button, and I think I showed it. Police Municipality of Singapore button. It was a UK produced button when it was a possession, and the person gave me a quote on what it was charging. It was like $47 for global shipping. I did the global or the international standard option to him, and it was like $17 or something. It was less than half. That's why I say, just save the money. You're going to have to pay it at the end of the month. You're going to have to pay it no matter what if you're going to ship first class international on your own. But if you go through them, it's cheaper. You just have to pay them later on. You just don't pay them now. It's no different. But it's covered if it's under $100. It's going to increase your sales. I can't see everybody that I've talked to who's done it, it's helped them out. Because the people just, the seller didn't want to do global shipping program, or a buyer just didn't buy enough from them to make it worth their while. You know, that option is open to, I think, 178 countries, if I'm not mistaken. It was some high number. I know I looked it up. Let me slide down. We'll just get to a couple more comments. Yeah, I don't use pirate ship except when I can't ship a media item because eBay's got it blocked in a specific category. I know people talk about using PayPal, but I have to cut and paste, Control C, Control V or something. With pirate ship, it just imports it. I'll ship everything else, and then all I got to do is import what's ever left, and those are the ones that I leave, the ones that I have to use pirate ship for. Easy peasy. I mean, there's nothing to it. Denise, my vision, I can barely read. The Vulture, the Dumpster Diver. How are you doing? I'm up to 420 items after 4 or so months here. When does it start rolling? Do you have 600? I have 80,000 plus items total up right now. Our inventory online is well over $1 million in cost. Not cost, in list price right now. Just FYI. Do you have to have a store to use the standard international? Honestly, I don't know. I do not know that one. That one's a good question. I'll have to keep that in mind and maybe answer that in another video. Yeah, and Daryl's saying Carolina picks as well. It depends on what you sell. I know people just have a handful of items that make more than me, but they sell like 1,000 of those items a week. Quantity. I don't mind having mass quantity, though. I like having the quantity aspect of, because if I only have a handful of items up and something happens or a competitor bumps in on me and I don't have anything else going on, I'm dead. I'm dead in the water. So I would rather have a ton of different items in a ton of different categories, because the viability of your business is so much broader. Far too many people are only looking at today. What's going on right now? I'm looking at 5 years down the road. If I have 1 million items in my store, which at one point I pray and hope to, you won't be able to touch me. I'll be able to have those on multiple platforms and all the other aspects going on with it. So if one category dies, I got so much other. Who cares? That's just why I don't wait for certain, wait for pay. I don't care if I have to wait for payments. I don't need the money right now. Why would I worry about it? Because I get more sales as well. It's a given. You'll be surprised. Not forcing immediate payment. If you're selling collectibles, you will get more sales. That's my honest personal experience from doing it that way. Yeah, from what I understand, it does not cover all the customs as well either. It's not the same as global shipping. As I said, you don't want to use the international standard for anything over $100. The limit on their coverage, I believe, is $100 on it. So if it's over $100 or over £4, I use global shipping program for like most everything over that weight and over the dollar amount. You know, you're not going to sell as much, but any of those cheaper items, I don't want to go through global shipping anymore because I'm not going to sell them as easily. You know, like it helps to know, like in I think UK, if it's got to be over $20 for them to pay the fees on it. So if it's less than $20, they don't have to pay the fees. If it's a piece of paper, collectible or not, if it's a piece of printed paper of some sort, there's another reason they don't have to pay fees. So if you know all of those aspects of it, you can really save out because they won't have to pay the fees. So if you offer a cheaper shipping option on something that's cheaper to begin with, they have more of a reason to buy it because first it's under the limits that they have to pay the import fees on it, and it's cheaper to ship as well. So that's part of the reason I say you should probably do it for some of those items. Again, under $100, $20 or under, definitely, at least to England. Canada may have that same, anything under the crown. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe Kathy or somebody will know a little more about that on here than me. Let's see here. Anyone using eBay's new listing page? I use Sell Similar for everything. I don't know any new listing page that I'm aware of. My page is the same one. I change a title, a photo, and a price, and that's it on my listings. It takes a matter of seconds. I can list, as I said, like 45 listings in an hour, maybe even more than that on a real good day. It doesn't take long these days. When I started on eBay, it took 3 separate pages you had to wait to load to list one single item. And you had to upload your photos to another service. eBay had nowhere to store photos at all. So you had to know HTML to list and post your images on there. That's how you'd post sound clips and the whole works. You'd have to have the storage space, and then you drop the link on eBay with HTML code. Just FYI. You could also make instant invoice payment for shipping if you want to keep on top of that. The invoice, if you're talking about like the combined shipping where it automatically will combine them and all that, it never seems to work. I've went back and forth on eBay with that. Like I have a 10 cents extra per item and it's supposed to be able to add them up. It never does. It never works right. Either that or when it adds them, it doesn't calculate, even though it's supposed to for the shipping weight. Because I've even set it so it's supposed to just do the same shipping weight. And whatever I do, my dog was down here if you heard her bark just a minute ago. Whatever I do, it never seems to add up the shipping weight right. Hence, the price is always wrong. And then I always have to refund them whenever it combines. And it's a glitch. eBay's told me that like way back when. I just don't mess with it that way. Rose is selling vintage collectibles, very little clothing. Yeah, I don't like shoes at all. I don't like touching used shoes, truthfully. Doing it wrong. Simplicity versus competitive. Both of them are easy as pie. I don't see any difference in either one, in all honesty. You're going to sell more. You're not going to have competition difference versus global shipping in my book. You're going to sell more as the biggest draw for international standard delivery. That's my take on it. You're going to sell more because it's cheaper. End of story. And one other thing I should say on that. A lot of people... And this is to our benefit. It's their fault for not knowing it, I guess. It's their country. We shouldn't have to know what their fees are going to be. A lot of people don't realize that they're going to have to pay a fee when it gets to their end. So they'll see the price they pay from us, and they won't realize that fee. I shouldn't say a lot, but some people do. And then it turns into an issue at the end when they realize they got to pay a fee. And that's why it's a sticker shock for global shipping program. Everything's included, and a lot of people don't consider or think about the fee. They just see that sticker shock price, and that's where they're scared off. They're still going to have to pay basically the same amount, close to it. eBay takes their percentage of fee. Who knows what it is, but... Yeah, Denise, I don't know if you have to have a store. I could not tell you on that at all. I will look it up, though, as I said. Here's Doing It Right Wrong saying you do not have to have a store for that shipping option. I have all my stuff has stores, so I'd have to like close the store to figure that out or open a new one. Alpha Music Arena, how are you doing? Daryl, Carolina Picks, he's got 2,333 listings and he sells 3 or 4 items a day. No clothing, mostly paper and collectibles. On the weekend, he sells 10 to 15 items a day. Again, volume, it depends on how much you're making off of those items, which is important. Let's see here. Is eBay trending a little slower for sellers right now? No, I would say no, at least for what I am selling. Let's see here. Do you ever mess with movie lobby cards? I just bought a bunch of them at an auction, which came out to about $1 each. Random older movies, mostly things I've never heard of. Be careful with dollar. Unicorns don't lie. I saw lobby cards. I got a huge stack of them. I've got tons of lobby cards. I've been buying lobby cards since, what would it be, 1989. That's my first lobby card foray. I used to order them from the movie theater. I've sold lobby cards my entire life of reselling. I've got hundreds and hundreds of them here. Dollar lobby cards, though, you got to be very careful with, I should say, because a lot of lobby cards, you may sell a set. A typical set is 8 plus usually a title card. The whole set may only go for 15 or 20 bucks. So that's why I say you got to be careful. A lot of the oddball junk titles may not be worth more than 4 or 5 bucks. And your time is what your factor is. So you might need to lot some up. If they're older ones, like going back to Three Stooges, Abbott and Costello, anything sci-fi, Hitchcock, any oddball stuff, famous, obviously, early Alzheimer's or Cecil B. DeMille or something like that, those always go extremely well. We do okay with even foreign ones. I buy a lot of Spanish ones. And then some foreign ones. I like the spaghetti westerns, the Italian-made westerns. Those always do phenomenally well, too. Fistful of Dollars or something like that. Let's just look at one more, and then I'll probably end it because I've already went longer than I said I would. My eyes are a little bit buggy right now. I got drops to stick in them as soon as I leave the show. I love movie posters, anything poster paper. I know so many videos about the question that are popping up here. Yeah, I've got a ton of videos, over 1,000 as of now. Any item with advertising in it cannot be sent media mail. Any recording item like music, videos, DVDs, record albums can be sent. Books bound and printed material can be sent media. Correct, definitely. There are some cases where you can send very specific advertising items. If it has advertising for incidental, like a book series, and it's a book in that series, you can send some. My dog is now, the hair is floating around. I'm not going to pet her. Hey, Penny, how are you doing this evening? Unhinged magazine. Photographic slides do very well. 35 millimeter, basically. Dingoers. Thank you, Kathy. Denise, Arizona. How are you doing from Phoenix? I have been to Phoenix, as I said earlier. No, I'm not going to be the auction pirate. That will not be me. You may have to see me with the patch on one of these days, depending on where this goes. I have got, if I can read my own printout, monocular diplopia with a blur is what it's called. But it's actually triple. This morning I can see 3 of the same lights in one eye. It kind of goes back and forth. Where are we at? Seth. I have 6K a month in sales and my store has less than 300 items. It depends, again, what you're selling. There's no set right or wrong way. I like the volume, and I can get a lot of it up with the items I list. So by myself, I can list hundreds of items in one single day if I want to. And if I need to make more money, I need money for something, I just list a whole mess of items. I always sell 3 to 4%, 3 to 5%. 3 to 5% is more like it, of whatever I list. And that's minimum. Sometimes I'll sell 100% of what I list in the same day I list it. Sometimes it just depends. I got a bag of some buttons and some other things sitting there right now that I will list. The second I list them, they'll be sold. I already got buyers for them, so that's the kind of thing I like to do. Let me end it there because we're already over what I thought I would do. I do appreciate everybody coming on. I do thank you all. I do have a few text messages. I see Dom's got one on here too. I'm terrible on my phone these last few days because it's blurry to me to see it. So I'm always looking weird on my phone. Yeah, hang on. Again, for those in Patreon, again, I didn't get it up today. I do apologize for that. I'm taking it easy after the show tonight. As I said, my son's going to do some listing, but other than that, he lists at night sometimes. I don't care. He knows how to do it all, so it doesn't really matter. But I do appreciate everybody coming on. Hopefully you got at least some good ideas out of it. If you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. Well over 100 still. If you're enjoying the conversation, please hit the like button. I've got a whole bunch. I still got like 12 videos that I did ahead of time. In case something happens, I've got extra videos that I did because I could be in a position where I won't be able to do any videos for a few days, depending on this. So I do have plenty extra. And I have somebody editing a couple Patreon videos too, besides the one I just finished. But anyway, so there'll be more content up. Hopefully everybody is doing well, staying safe. I will let you go. Again, thanks everybody for coming on. If you didn't hit the like button, please hit the like button before you head off for the evening.